Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Flesh and Blood video, and this time we are going to follow a game that happened recently at my local LGS against a classic constructed Briar versus Prism. So Prism is kicking off here with a Herald of Judgment, so it's coming in for 6 damage. And it has Go Again because there's a yellow card in the pitch zone. It's Luminaris that gives this effect. Now, as you probably noticed on the left here, I've changed the video a little bit. I've got some feedback from people saying they would like me to track the effects of the game as it's going. So we're going to try it out here. Anything in grey is passive. Anything in white is the actual attack or defense. So that's 2 defense coming in. Briar takes 4 on turn 1. And that card goes into Prism's soul. There is a bit of an engine here with Prism taking cards out of her soul and creating spectral shields. Also turns on Vestige of Soul when a card gets put in there. But yeah, we'll see that as the game progresses. But because of that yellow card in the pitch zone, Luminaris means that all of these attacks have Go Again. And so now that's Merciful Retribution and next. Now the thing is as well about auras is that auras also, we saw there that did 1 damage. Because of Luminaris, another effect of Luminaris is that any auras that Prism control effectively become weapons with that do 1 damage. But again, with the yellow card in the pit zone, they all have Go Again. And this stack's pretty big. So over to Briar. Briar plays Flash next. Attack action card. This turn with cost 1 gains Go Again. So we can see here now that Briar has that passive Go Again for anything with cost 1 or less, I think it is, from this card. But yeah, Briar here is effectively going to be trying to use things like Blossom and Spellblade, Bramble Spark, cards like that to try and do as much damage as possible. Briar does a lot of, basically can push a lot of damage, especially with on-damage effects on her weapons that allow her to play cards from her banish zone as though they were instants, and in this way, lots of Go Agains, things like that. So with priority, Prism pitches and uses Prism's ability to create a spectral shield, and so this now means that effectively, again, there are 2 1/1 weapons out on Prism's side. However, they can also block damage. Now, because Flash allows action cards of 1 or less to get Go Again, that means this Tome of Fendel has Go Again. The second part of the card doesn't kick in, but it does give a 2-card draw with Go Again. Usually Tome of Fendel means that there is no Go Again off of that. However, this time around, it's still a 2-card draw, which is nice. So also Briar, because Briar has played their second non-attack action card this turn, it means that an embodiment of lightning is created. This means that this can be broken to give Go Again. Which, as you can see, is something that is pretty strong in the Briar arsenal, especially with that Rosetta Thorn sitting there that can do 2 arcane and 2 physical damage. However, this time it's just coming in to attack the Merciful Retribution. Because the Merciful Retribution breaks, it does 1 arcane damage to Briar. So Briar takes the 1 arcane damage. And because of Spectra, that means that the turn is over. Unfortunately, whenever you attack one of the auras that Prism has on the field, it triggers Spectra. A lot of these, or all of these auras have the Spectra keyword, which means that if it is destroyed, it closes the combat chain. Cards don't resolve, which means you don't get any Go Agains, you don't get any of the card effects at all. But you do manage to remove 1 from the board because Aura Prism can get pretty crazy, pretty fast with the amount of things out on the board. So there's another yellow in the pit zone, which means that the Go Again is turned on. And Herald of Triumph coming out now. Attack action cards have -1 while defending. This is really good for preventing Phantasm. Usually whenever you defend an Illusionist card, or anything with Phantasm, with a card that has 6 or more attack, it destroys Herald of Triumph, closes the combat chain, and effectively just ends the turn. However, because of the -1, it means that you effectively have to defend with 7 attack. So that's 5 defense coming in. They block all the defense, and that evens everything out. No damage going through the Briar, but that Go Again is still there from the yellow in the pitch zone. This is why having this yellow in there and having that pretty much that perpetual Go Again is very good, because you can see the Spectral Shield there on the field. That Spectral Shield would effectively just have Go Again. And Prism chooses to end the turn here. drawn back up to full. We see a Genesis in hand. That's another aura that'll be played that can turn on some crazy draw effects. Channel Mount Heroic comes out. That means that attack action cards all have +3 attack while it's in there. Now, the way that this works is that it gets a flow counter at the end of turn, and you have to put an Earth card from your pet zone on the bottom of your deck for each flow counter on it, or you destroy it. So, effectively now, Briar has to make sure that they're pitching Earth cards in order to try and keep this around as long as possible. You're pretty much always going to get one turn out of it, i.e. the turn you play. If you're lucky, you can get a second and possibly maybe a third turn out of it. You don't really see much more than that because you're not going to be pitching enough cards to kind of keep it around. So it was unfortunate that that came out on a turn that there were no attacks on. However, because it sticks around, because an Earth card went to the bottom from the pit zone, it still sticks around, which is fine, which means that we'll get some utility out of it probably next turn. And we can see here that there's possibly a big turn on the Prism side. There is a Tome of Divinity in there. Prism can do some pretty crazy things, especially whenever they're playing on their opponent's turn at instant speed, using some Tome of Divinities. So Herald of Erudition coming on, that yellow in the pit zone is coming on with, it gives it all go again. This is 5 Dominate. It hits, goes in the soul, and Prism draws 2 cards. That is a pretty devastating blow. But yeah, that Tome of Divinity in there is definitely going to be used to keep the pressure up. And there's Tome of Divinity again. Draw 2 cards, and since a card has been put into the Hero's Soul this turn, it's actually draw 3. It has go again. So that was essentially just a free draw 3. Another Tome of Divinity. This is what I meant by this can create some crazy hand sizes, because you have all the resources you need, you have all the attacks you need, you have the perpetual go again from having a yellow in your pit zone, which isn't really going to go away. Yeah, this can get pretty crazy on the Prism side of things. So that's why a lot of the time Prism will make sure to, try and get that yellow card in there first. Vestige of Soul is a fantastic card here, because it means that if you put a card into your soul this turn, if I recall correctly, you get an extra resource for each card you pitch. So whenever there are things like Tome of Divinity that cost 4, don't let that intimidate you. If there's a yellow, if you put a card into your soul already, you can pitch a blue for it. So there's 4 resources now out on the board to play. Yeah, that is an Ode to Wrath. It's an instant, so it doesn't need go again. But whenever a source you control deals damage to an opposing hero, they lose +1. This can stack pretty devastatingly, because, as we say, because of the Luminaris, each aura is a weapon with 1. And now, effectively, it means that if one of those goes through, it deals an extra 1. So, yeah, this gets pretty crazy. Prismatic Shield coming out. It's also an instant. It doesn't need go again. Create 3 Spectral Shield tokens. So now we've got 5 attack. We've got 5 +1 weapons on the board that when they hit, they do an extra damage at the moment. This is the danger of Aura Prism. You just got to try and deal with those as much as possible by attacking the auras and triggering Spectra. Unfortunately, it does end your turn, but you can't let it run away with itself, and also to try and do damage so that they're forced to block with the Spectral Shields. And so here we go now. That's all 5 of those weapons coming in for 1 damage each. And if they hit, it does an extra damage. That's 10 damage through to Briar. 40 to 19. This is pretty insane. As you can see here, Prism is just nuts. Like, you can see the amount of cards that got drawn off those two tomes. You can see the instants just peppering Spectral Shields out on the field. Prism is quite crazy. So here now we've got a fused Force of Nature coming in. Whenever an attack action card you control hits this turn, if its attack is greater than its base attack, draw a card. If Force of Nature was fused, the next attack gains +1. This is definitely going to fire because of the +3 from the channel mount that's on there. So effectively now, every time an attack action card hits, Briar's going to get to draw a card. The next one gets +1 for good effect. So Spring Tunic comes out to give a resource. Command and Conquer coming in now, so that is coming in for 10 damage altogether. It has its base 6. Also, it has Go Again because of the embodiment of Lightning Kraken, so that's 10 Go Again. It gets its 10 from the 6, plus the 3 from the Channel Mount Heroic, plus 1 from the previous card that was played. So it's 1 defense in from the Arcanite Skullcap. That's still another 9 coming in, and if it hits, it destroys the arsenal. So this is one of these ones where a lot of times people will use their arsenal to set up future turns, and if you can put a Command and Conquer down, you're kind of baiting that your opponent's gonna block all of the damage, because, you know, if they're planning something, it really makes them try and figure out how much that plan is worth, whether they want to, you know, ruin a hand to block everything, or whether or not they don't care and will just give up their arsenal and take the damage. This can... Command and Conquer is a real psychological card for your opponent. It pretty much guarantees that they're gonna miss their next turn of their build-up, because it has such a devastating effect. Like, blowing away the arsenal doesn't sound like too much until you really consider what the arsenal is used for in a lot of games. But all the extra buffs that it gained there from Briar is just crazy. The fact that it's coming in for 10 Go Again. Command and Conquer really should just be like a 6 with no Go Again. And if it hits, also they draw a card, which is pretty nuts. So we're going to create some Spectral Shields. Now up to 5 Spectral Shields, so that takes another 6. There's only 4 remaining, but again, as we see, that gets rid of all those Spectral Shields, which you have to view in Prism as a +1 weapon with Go Again, because it's so easy to make that happen. And it looks like, that's gonna push through 4 damage. They get to draw a card, and the Rosetta Thorn's coming in next. That's going to be coming in for 2 physical, 2 arcane. But instead of attacking Prism, it looked like they attacked the Ode to Wrath there, which triggers Spectra, so none of the damage actually goes through. However, that means now that all of the auras are off the board. Prism's build-up up until now has pretty much been shot down. But again, it's you can never really rest with Prism. These auras can just start coming out again thick and fast. So I think that was the right call from Briar there to deal with all of that as much as possible. So there we are, 2 again in the pit zone, which means that Prism's ability can be triggered, which allows you to take a card from her soul and create a Spectral Shield. It's a once per turn action. And again, as we see there, illusionist attacks you control have Go Again, because there's a card with a yellow color strip in the pit zone. It's pretty crazy, and all of those shields now all those Spectral Shields are also +1 weapons. And there we are. That is that 1 weapon was defended there. That Spectral Shield +1 weapon. So no damage goes through. But again, sometimes it's quite tough to defend, because it's not as if, 6 of those coming at you, you can defend them for 3 or anything. You have to defend each one individually. So first we start off with Garganian Tome. That allows you to draw a card. Sometimes it sounds a bit redundant just to play a card to draw a card, but it does count as one of your attack action, or one of your non-attack action cards. When you play 2 of them as Briar, you do get an embodiment of lightning tokens. So playing these non-attack actions are pretty crucial to making sure that you can create wider turns. So Garganian Tome fits really well. I have yet to see someone play a Garganian Tome and draw 2, because a Garganian Tome will draw 1+1 for each Garganian Tome in all other graveyards. So if Prism, for example, now were to play a Garganian Tome, they would draw 2. But I've never seen it happen. But who knows, maybe one of these days we'll see a Garganian Tome for 2. Burgeoning coming in for 4+3. It wasn't played from Arsenal, so it doesn't get the +1, but it does get the +3 from the Channel Mount, which is stuck around now for 3 turns, although I think that the rating may be on the wall for it this turn. So that's going to be 7 altogether, with no Go Again. It looks like Soul Shield is going to be used here to defend for 6. And the Spectral Shield is going to soak that last point of damage. So that's going to be all 7 defended, and the channel mount goes away because not 3 Earth cards were not put on the bottom this turn. And so it goes away. So that +3 buff is now gone. So this is where we have to be careful as well whenever you're playing against Prism. Prism, kind of like Kano, does a lot of things on their opponent's turn. So whenever you pass priority, Prism usually jumps in and does a lot of crazy things. So this is still the end of Briar's turn, but Prism has priority. So now Genesis gets played, which means at the start of your turn, you may put a card from your hand into your Hero's Soul. If it's an Illusionist card, you create a Spectral Shield token, and if it's a light card, you draw a card. So this Genesis is a fantastic card here because it turns on so much of Prism's strategy. Also with cards going in there, it allows you to draw cards, allows you to create Spectral Shields, which you can then use Prism's ability to take that card back out of your soul for 2 resources to create another Spectral Shield. Genesis is a card that really can make Prism's strategy a lot easier, a lot faster, a lot more efficient. It's pretty nuts. Genesis, if there are multiple auras on the field, Genesis is always a contender for one of the first ones that's gonna get attacked. So there we are, Spectral Shield coming in, and it's coming in for 1, which gets taken by Briar. So Briar's now down to 18. That's 36 to 18 at the moment. So definitely an uphill battle here for Briar to make some sort of comeback. And that's the end of turn now. Going back over to Briar. So Tunic gets triggered for 1 resource. Mage Master Boots gets triggered. So the next non-attack action card gets go again. Tome of Fendel coming on again for 2 cards. Essentially, that was pitch 1 to play that. Get go again. Again, that counts as one of your non-attack actions for the turn. So it goes halfway to creating another embodiment of lightning. And as we can see, all of that happened, and Briar still has a full hand. It looks like there's an Amulet of Earth on there as well. Looks like is that a Bramble Spark as well? No, that's another Channel Mount Heroic coming in. So that's +3, and all of the flow counter craziness that we talked about before. But again, that +3 is so good, and since it's the second non-attack action, that creates the embodiment of lightning. So when you play an attack action card, you can destroy the embodiment of lightning, and the attack gains go again. Bramble Spark coming in. It is getting fused, which means next attack action card gains deal 1 arcane damage, and that's an extra source of arcane damage. And also the next attack gets +2. So now we have +3, +2, and +1 arcane damage on the board for Briar at the moment. So this next attack looks like it's going to be pretty spicy. But again, this is where Briar really shines. Is whenever you look at the cards, sometimes it's pretty easy to look at the cards and figure out what exactly the draw is to Briar or why Briar is so popular, but it's all these extras that she can add on is just so good. So now see Crown of Seeds getting triggered, where you can put a face down card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck, draw a card, and prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to your hero this turn. And now Rites of Lightning coming on, no fusion, so that's coming in for 9 damage altogether and 1 arcane. The embodiment of Lightning Cracks giving a go again. So that's 9, 1 arcane damage, and go again. So that is 9 damage going through there. The Spectral Shield blocking, presumably the 1 arcane. And so Rosetta Thorn then coming in for 2 + 2. Taking Prism down to 24. So that's 2 attacks went through. The embodiment of Earth. So whenever an attack action card you control deals damage, an embodiment of Earth is created, which means that I think it's non-attack actions you defend with get +1 defense on the next turn. And so that is the end of turn for Briar. Back over to Prism. So since a light illusionist card went in, that now means that a Spectral Shield was created. But whenever you pitch a light card, if a card has been put into your hero's soul this turn, you gain a resource. So Vestige of Sol now means that you can get 1 extra resource for everything you pitch. Genesis turns that on pretty much straight away, and you draw a card. The synergy between Genesis and Vestige of Sol and Luminaris is just it's such a fantastic engine. And it makes Aura Prism just shine so much. So Herald of Tenacity coming on now for 4 Dominate altogether. So And if it hits, it goes into your soul. So that takes Briar down to 14. It has go again because there is a card with a yellow strip in the pitch zone. So even though that the that embodiment of Earth is out on Briar's side to give each non-attack action +1 defense, you got to be careful whenever you're Briar. You don't want to be defending. You don't want to let the embodiment of Earth trick you into defending with too many cards from your hand either. If you can afford the damage. But at least the gap is closed a little bit. It's only 10 health damage now, or 10 health difference, which isn't so bad as it was before. So on the Prism side, there's 4 resources pitched, 2 resources being used to play a Herald of Rebirth. If it hits, it goes into your Hero Soul, and you put up to 1 card with Phantasm from your graveyard on top of your deck. This is fantastic for getting out some of those big attacks again. So if you, it's also a really good late game card. But it fits at any point in the game because hitting with your best card twice is always good. It also allows you to guarantee that you're going to get, even for example, a light illusionist card. Not that you usually have many problems with that, but it guarantees it, and a guarantee is always better than a, very likely. So all that damage goes through. It's 24-9 now. Briar down to single digits. It looks like Briar just doesn't really get much momentum here, unfortunately. Aura Prism just seems to be building up and just really bringing the heat. So what is going to go on top here? Oh. Well, I suppose we'll see next turn. I kind of missed that there, but we'll see next turn. Card goes onto Prism's Soul. 2 resources being paid. They create another Spectral Shield token. And since everything has go again, all of these auras come in for 3 damage. Another 3 going through for Briar, taking Briar down to 6. And that embodiment of Earth goes away. It goes away at the start of your turn. So yeah, the Briar is back down to 6. That dwindling difference of health that I mentioned is definitely not dwindling anymore. But we're back over to Briar, who still has the Channel Mount Heroic out, so they're still +3 to each attack. So and Briar is more than capable of creating big turns. So we start with Bramble Spark, gets +3 and +1 arcane damage. And now on an instant speed from Prism, when Prism had priority, Merciful Retribution gets played. And again, as a once per turn instant, creates another Spectral Shield. So this, again, Aura Prism can work both as attack and as defense. Because, Prism can play all of her stuff on your turn, essentially, to start creating Spectral Shields and getting auras out. It's pretty crazy. And then, obviously, that sets up for offense, because all you need to do is put a yellow card in your pit zone, and all of these things become +1 weapons. So Ball Lightning gets played to immediately attack the new aura, knocking it out, but unfortunately it triggers the Spectra, which ends the turn. So that all goes back to Prism. Genesis gets used again to put a card in Prism Soul and draw a card, because it's a Light Illusionist card, and create a Spectral Shield. So as we can see, this engine is just up and running right now. A yellow card in the pit zone for go again, takes card from Prism Soul, creates a Spectral Shield, and all of those Spectral Shields come in. So that's 6 packets of 1 damage, 6 instances of 1 damage. This is very dangerous now for Briar, because again, each one of these can only be defended. You can't multiple defend here. It is 6 weapons of 1, unfortunately. The defense doesn't spill over. Anyways, Crown of Seeds getting played. Put the card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck, draw a card, and prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to your hero this turn. So that means one of them is dealt with, so we're now down to 5 packets of 1. And it looks like 3 of them are going to be defended, I think I heard there. So that's 1, 2, 3. 3 defended. 2 damage going through. As I say, it's one of those things where if 6 of these are coming through and you have a card that defends for 3, it doesn't defend 3 of the damage. It'll only defend 1 of them, because they're each individual instances of 1 damage. That can become very, very, very tough to deal with. Rosetta Thorn coming in, and it's immediately attacking Genesis. There's a trigger Spectra it triggers Spectre on it, which ends the turn, but it does get rid of another aura, so that kind of slows the engine down a bit on the Prism side. It still leaves 5 Spectral Shields, which looks like it could be more than enough to finish off Briar if the draws are bad. And it looks like another Spectral Shield is going to get created off of Prism's ability. Everything has go again, and yeah, it looks like with all of the cards that are in hand there, it looks like, was that a Phantasm as well? Yeah, it looks like that would have been too much, and that would take Briar down to 0. There'd be no way Briar could have defended everything that would have been coming that turn, so yeah. And there we have it. It seems that with some Briar CC, the Briar CC build, that a Prism on a good day can definitely take Briar. But as we see, Briar is very popular at the moment. Prism, obviously very popular from the calling event in Las Vegas. Ever since then, a lot of people have had their eyes open to Prism. And so yeah, this seems like these are two of the big brutes in the format at the moment. And so I'd imagine that we're probably going to see some more videos between Briar and Prism in the future. But for anyways, thank you very much for everybody who watched the video. If you liked the video, then please leave it a like, drop a comment, let me know anything that you thought of the video down below. This is a brand new channel. It helps new channels out a lot to hear feedback and to get thumbs up and stuff like that. The YouTube algorithm loves seeing all those things. So yeah, make sure to let me know what you thought of the video. If you liked all the new annotations, let me know if you would like to see any changes to the little annotations or anything, if it would make the videos easier to understand. Please let me know. But anyways, again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.